Most notable, in my view, is the ever-growing importance of multimedia journalism. So reporters don't just now have to get the story and get it right, but they also have to gather their own pictures and video. And couple that with the speed that you have to work at in today's news-gathering environment, it's going to be very tough for someone. They will need high-level technical skills, and more importantly, I think they'll need personal resilience to make it in the trade, especially when they have a disability. One word of encouragement, though, I don't want to be entirely negative about this, because journalism at heart remains the business of telling stories, and that for blind people, inevitably who rely on verbal communication and verbal skills, it's a good fit. Conducting an interview is still only a conversation. It might take place on tape or on film, but it just requires talking to someone, and we're good at that. Visually impaired people are also well accustomed to having to go the extra mile to understand others, because you have to do that day in, day out. Manage other people's expectations in order to get what you need. And journalism will help, and that would be useful in journalism as well. Now, look, I've rambled on very long, so I will say this in conclusion. I feel hugely privileged with how life has panned out for me. Most of the time, I see my blindness as an inconvenience, and that's really the extent of it. Now, I'm not so naive as to believe that we don't, as blind people, have huge barriers to overcome. Some natural, some put in our way. But the truth is that there's no other option other than just to get out there and do it. Some days it will be hard, walking into lampposts, if I might borrow one of your idioms. Some days that just sucks, doesn't it? Some days we have to deal with a world that doesn't get it, and worse, stands in the way of one making the most of oneself. But we have to, in Churchill's words, keep buggering on. That's all you can do. Thanks for listening, and have a great conference.
Some of this I had put on Periscope, guys, and it's been cached.
Radio kicks, by the way. I have a question for you, Gary. We have just a couple minutes left, but I wanted to ask you, semi-seriously, have you been mocked by Donald Trump yet? Because you haven't arrived until you have. But have you been able to get access to our candidates? Because I'm sure that they are very keen to make sure they have the British vote wrapped up. So they probably want to talk to a British reporter first thing when they get down off the debate stage. Have you been able to get access to talk about our candidates?
Barely at all. There's a phrase you won't hear on television or on radio, but you will hear from seasoned political operatives in this country when they talk about foreign media. They talk about no votes TV. We are no votes TV. So we get very little access. We do get access to the rallies, although the Trump people did ban the entire BBC briefly about 2 weeks ago. About 30 of us turned up to some event in wherever it was, I can't remember now. But no, and it's interesting. Some camps are very friendly. They were very accommodating at the Sanders event the other night. We got one of their campaign staff on the TV, and I did an interview with them live. Sometimes it's very, very difficult to get in. Their time is so tightly controlled, in 10-minute chunks the whole time throughout the day, that in many ways it makes political sense to ignore people like me. Don't tell them.
Now, just a quick word about the differences. You've talked a little bit about covering about British political debates. Obviously, it's a different system, but easier to get to candidates, do you think, in Britain and get their views on topics, or tougher there than compared to here?
I think for us, for the BBC, it's a lot easier in the UK because when I was a political correspondent, I could pick up the phone and speak to the Prime Minister's press secretary without any problem at all. In fact, he'd be ringing me at 6 o'clock in the morning saying, "What on earth are you talking about on the radio? You've got this wrong, you've got that wrong, you've got the other thing wrong." So there was plenty of that. There isn't in the UK the sort of tradition you have here, particularly because of the primary system. There isn't the tradition really of these big sort of meetings heuristic. There was a very famous Labour leader in the early 90s called Neil Kinnock who held a big rally in Sheffield just before the 1992 general election, then lost, and everyone blamed him for sort of celebrating too early. We do have these town hall type meetings that you have here now. And there's a very funny occasion not very long ago when the Labour leader who's just stood down at Miliband did one of these town halls in a northern English city, and he got all these young people in. He said, we'll talk to the young, find out what everything. And he sort of rattled off at them for a while. They were yawning, looking at their Facebook. And he said at the end, okay, so what can I do for you? What can I do for you? And there's a bit of a silence. And a girl at the back stuck her hand in the air and said, can you get us a Nando's in town, please?
That's awesome. And as a blind person, have the campaign's been relative, aside from the fact that they don't want to talk to you because you're British, but any trouble getting attention as a blind reporter?
No. I've seen nothing like that so far at all. I can't say I've seen anything like that at all. I mean, it's a scrum out there. I mean, when you go to these events, you're on what they call, it's a bit like this what we're standing on here, a sort of a podium, kind of risers they call them, and they're sort of layered sort of podiums going up where all the cameras are set up, and there's dozens and dozens of little camera positions, and you have to climb your way over to get to your position, and you have to be in there hours beforehand. And, the Secret Service come around and they search everything, and they frisk you down. So yeah, I get treated as badly as everyone else.
Gary, thanks again for
It's
joining us.
Real pleasure.
I will say the other day on the BBC they closed Gary's report by saying Vermont, the home of Ben and Jerry's, and today Bernie and Gary's. Scott, do we have a word or anything we need to give people or something for today, for this morning? Or Amanda, or anyone who knows these things. All right. Yeah, you got to give me something verbal there, Scott. I didn't know you were moving.
Code word. Let me say it to you.
Yep.
The code word is Coca-Cola for the session.
Coca-Cola. Carl wants to know how it relates to Washington. Any guess on that? We'll have to come up with something quick. Remember, we've got exhibitors. Go please visit them in the next little bit. Sign up for exhibit bingo. Lots of cool stuff. And then at 10 o'clock, we'll be starting several sessions, CBI, technology, transition, lots of good stuff to get your brains moving today. Thank you very much for being with us at the AFB Leadership Conference.